first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for calling my fiancé entitled over a dispute over wedding planning? I just got engaged to Anna and we are in the very early stages of wedding planning. We can't afford to pay it for ourselves, but it will be a small do-it-yourself wedding. I knew that my parents were going to offer to pay because I'm the last to get married, and they paid for both of my siblings. Anna and I have talked about my parents' money before, and mutually decided that when they offered to buy us a house, not trying to be an entitled bud, but they bought both of my siblings a house, we are going to decline because it comes with strings attached. My mom drops by whenever she wants, makes executive parenting decisions for my sister and sister-in-law, and Anna and I don't want that. So, we had dinner with my parents recently, and my dad offered us $70,000 for the wedding. I saw Anna's eyes light up. I asked what the strings would be, and my dad said we would have to let my mom help plan, invite a certain number of their friends, make sure the food included things they liked, and if he was spending that sort of money, it wasn't just for us. His wife better be happy. I told Anna it was her call. Anna got upset and said no to the conditions, which I was fine with. Anna then said my parents are selfish, which okay, fair enough. Then she started to beg for the $70,000 without the strings. My dad said that it was out of the question. She kept it up, so I changed the subject. The next morning, she told me she was going to call my mom and try to convince her to drop the conditions. I told her that she was being entitled, and they have the right to give conditions. I wouldn't personally do it, but I think it is their right. I told her that if she called my mom, it would embarrass me because of the entitledness. She now thinks I'm on their side, and she's deeply hurt that I used the word entitled because she prides herself on being a hard worker. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. This comes across a little entitled. It's not our $70,000, and whilst I do think your parents are a bit extreme by offering you money with such extreme conditions, your fiancé shouldn't be calling your parents demanding they give you the money. It's even worse that you'd already discussed exactly this in the past and agreed not to take the money. The conditions aren't that crazy though. Parents get to invite some friends. Mom helps plan. Parents want food we like. Not like mom is wearing a wedding dress and standing on the groom's right side at the altar. Mom helps plan wedding is code for mom plans the whole wedding though. You can tell that she would control the whole thing and use the "but I'm paying for it" card every time there was a difference of opinion. OP, not the a-hole. You guys already had a plan. Your fiancé just got distracted by the dollar signs. It stinks that your parents are putting conditions on the money, but it is their right to do so. She begged for the money? Not for something critical, but for a wedding? She embarrassed herself, and you, and sounds entitled. Not a-hole. Not entitled. Greedy. She's running her dream wedding through her head and is ignoring the warning signs. Not a-hole. I think you are correct that she's acting entitled. I am so glad you recognize that your parents' money comes with strings. Also, it seems your parents are very upfront with what they expect should you accept their money. I feel like this is totally fair. No one is trying to trick you into taking the money, then making demands. If she wants the super expensive wedding, totally a waste in my opinion, then she has to accept that she will no longer be in charge of it. Your mother will be. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that I can't make my mother apologize to her? I got married recently, and my mom and wife fought over wedding planning. A lot. They didn't like each other too much before, but wedding planning brought out the crazy. My dad ended up pulling all the funding and screwed us. Not trying to be entitled, but things had already been booked when he backed out. We found out that my mom had been talking a lot of crap about my wife. I confronted her, and she said that I am psycho for trying to control what she says, and she's allowed to tell people about her life. I demanded that she apologize, and she said no. I said unless she can respect my wife, she cannot come to my wedding. This is when my dad cut funding. She ended up not coming, and no one from her side of the family came, so that included uncle and all of my cousins. My dad did come, but he ended up throwing a temper tantrum and leaving. After the wedding, I said that my wife is still owed an apology, and that if she can't respect my wife, she can't be in my life. My mom was like, okay, bye. And that was the end of that. My wife brought up last night that she is upset that she never received an apology. I said that is okay, but there is nothing I can do. She got mad and says I should make my mom apologize. I said that I can't make a grown woman do anything, and she got mad and said I need to lay down the law. I already went no contact, so I literally don't see what else I can do. I said that she was being naive and that I can't make her. Now my wife is upset with me. Not an a-hole, but it kind of sounds like your wife is another version of your mom. Exactly what I was thinking. Probably why they didn't get along. Opie is really stuck between two difficult people, it seems. Pleasing one means hurting the other. Mom and wife just need to talk, bury hatchet, and compromise if they want a relationship. It sounds like they would both love to bury the hatchet in each other's skulls. Not a hole. Tell your wife to please stop already. Your mother is never going to give an apology, so she just needs to stop and move on. I get her feelings were hurt, and she's entitled to want an apology. But demanding that you force an apology is ridiculous, and she needs to drop it. You have already explained to her that you can't make an adult do something they don't want to do. And you have already backed her up, supported her through all of this, and went no contact with your family. There's literally nothing more you can do, so she needs to let the idea of an apology go. Honestly, this makes me wonder if Opie chose the right side. You cut off your family for her. She's totally unreasonable, not an a-hole. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for asking my husband to pay 100% of our expenses if I extend my maternity leave? I get the title sounds bad, but hear me out please. My husband, 32 male and I, 28 female, are expecting our first child. Up until now, we've always split our expenses according to the percentage of our incomes. For simplicity, let's say he pays 60% and I pay 40% because that is proportionate to our salaries. This applies to our rent, utilities, groceries, insurance, etc. We keep phones, cars, and other things separate. It's very early on in the pregnancy, which is why I can't ask my friends and family this, so looking for unbiased Redditor opinions. We were discussing maternity leave/baby plans, and I told him I thought I'd wait until the baby was 6 months old before going back to work and putting them in childcare. Husband said that he read that it was important for the first year of the baby's life it should be at home bonding with the parents, and asked me to take a year instead. With anti-discrimination laws, my job is held indefinitely until the time I choose to return. However, the issue is that it wouldn't be financially wise for me to take so much time off. I've calculated my paid maternity leave, my annual leave, etc., and how much unpaid time I would need to take up until the child is 6 months old, and I can make it work. Taking another 6 months off would diminish my savings, especially because my expenses will increase greatly with baby. I gave 2 suggestions as a compromise. One, if he wants me to take 6 months of extra leave, he should pay for 100% of the family expenses during that period. That would be what was mentioned in the first paragraph. Then we would split baby expenses at the current ratio and I would pay for the things I already keep separate. 2, he should take 6 months off after the baby is 6 months old and take care of them while I go back to work. I asked for him to think of it as paternity leave. If baby needs 1 year with their parents, then it could be either one of us. I could pump breast milk, or depending on the situation, the baby may be on formula by then. He hates both suggestions. He thinks it's unfair to burden him with all of the family expenses when he's already paying more than I do. His workplace doesn't have paid paternity leave, and taking 6 months off could affect his career progression, and they might replace him. We don't know if his company would hold the job for him, as it's too early to approach them about it. I don't understand why I should have to disproportionately suffer financially for the baby. We've always said we'd be 50-50 in the responsibility for the kid. Me taking more time off would also jeopardize my career progression, and having a kid already interrupts that, and my savings would be far worse off than his. He feels that sometimes you need to sacrifice things when you become a family, but I feel like I'm the only one who is sacrificing anything here. When it was just the 2 of us, expenses were easier. Now that we're going to be a family, it's getting harder to decipher. So, am I the a-hole for making these 2 suggestions, or should I be willing to take an extra 6 months off at my own expense? Option 3. He pays you a fair wage for the work you will be doing by staying home and taking care of the baby. Hint, it's not cheap. Then you can pay your normal stuff from that wage. Seriously, this pedantic separation of finances when you share financial responsibility is just doomed. Not the a-hole, Opie. Not the a-hole at all. Not the a-hole. He thinks it's unfair to burden him with all of the family expenses when he's already paying more than I do. You'll be doing the childcare while he is at work. For 40 hours a week, you'll be burdened with all of the nappy changes, the spit up, the keeping a tiny human alive. He's way off the map here. Way more than 40. He's been working hard. You know he isn't coming home and jumping right to parenting. First, he'll need a few hours to relax. Not day haul. And if you're taking unpaid time, you have no salary, so the percent according to incomes would be 100% husband, 0% you. But the deal wasn't according to our incomes and savings. Not day haul. I'll never understand why people attempt to share a life together but keep separate finances. It's not like you want to take a year-long vacations backpack across Europe. You would be taking time to take care of a child that is both of your responsibility. Your husband sounds really selfish. He wants you to take more time off of work, but isn't willing to contribute to the financial well-being and stability of the woman he loves and his new child? Why is money more important to him than his family? The last story is titled, Am I the a-hole for yelling at my husband to stop eating my food? I'll keep this pretty cut and dry. I have a lot of food allergies, gluten intolerance, IBS, lactose intolerance. I'm allergic to spinach and kale and other leafy greens in that family. I buy special food for myself, as well as regular food for my husband who does not have any allergies or food intolerances. For some reason, my husband likes to eat my snacks, as well as his own. Instead of going to get a new loaf of bread, he'll open my gluten-free bread and eat all of it. It's been an issue our whole relationship. He says it's because he wants to use all the food before we go grocery shopping again, so nothing goes to waste. Now, I'm 13 weeks pregnant, and the amount of things I can eat are even less. Pretty much the only things I can keep down are these very specific gluten-free crackers that are like $8 a box, and bananas. Yesterday, I came home from my doctor's appointment and found out that he ate my whole brand new box of crackers. I had just gone grocery shopping, and we had plenty of food and snacks for him to eat. When I asked him why he decided to eat pretty much the only thing I can keep down, he said he just grabbed some crackers, and didn't see the big deal in that I was overreacting by being upset. He said he knows my pregnancy hormones are out of whack, but I needed to control myself. That made me angry, and I told him he needed to stop eating my food and make me feel bad for being upset, or he wouldn't have a wife anymore. He got really offended and hasn't spoken to me since, and I feel like I overreacted due to my pregnancy hormones, but I also feel like I'm kind of valid in being frustrated by my husband, who has no allergies, eating all my specialty food before I get any. Am I the a-hole? He gets annoyed if I only buy things I can eat. He asks why he has to eat my diet when it's not him that has problems. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. This feels like a weird manipulative power trip. How long have you been married? Have you noticed any other warning signs? Next time you go shopping, buy just 1 billion of those crackers. Nothing else. Since he only seems to want to eat your things, fine, be petty and only buy your things. I couldn't be in another relationship where I was constantly disrespected, and no matter how much I tried to communicate, my spouse refused to hear me. Nah, if this were the first time, even first handful of times, but he knows the only thing you can hold down are those crackers, and he still did it, and then tried to invalidate your emotions over it? What kind of crazy crap is that? Absolutely not. 100% agree. There is no way I didn't realize he was eating those crackers. Completely disrespectful and manipulative to blame it on pregnant hormones. Yeah, I like that he told her to control herself when the whole problem is his lack of self-control eating snacks. Not the a-hole. Your husband is a huge a-hole. Husband gets to eat everything he wants. Opie, super food restricted. Also pregnant and can eat like 2 things. Husband, I have a great idea. Let's eat the only thing my pregnant wife can eat. Opie, rightfully freaking mad. Husband, shocked Pikachu face. I'm gluten intolerant and a vegetarian, and my boyfriend would never dream of just eating all of my gluten-free stuff. He even bakes me super tasty bread and then doesn't eat any of it if I don't tell him it's okay. Your husband is horrible. I'm a vegan. Makes life very hard, especially with the spinach and kale issues. Not the a-hole. He said my pregnancy hormones are out of whack, but I needed to control myself. He's dismissing your perfectly valid concerns by blaming it on your hormones? You weren't overreacting at all. You literally just asked him why he ate the only food you could eat. That's perfectly reasonable. And it was the dismissal of your feelings that made you angry. Again, which is perfectly understandable. Also, it's crazy that he hasn't spoken to you since. That is not a good way for him to handle disagreements in the relationship. How long has it been? And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.